Testing, testing. It's still a bit light outside. I don't normally do this, but something beautiful happened. Now, let us start. It's not about history or anything. I've had, let's go through the day to see what actually could have triggered certain emotions. I have had 4 coffees today, and I'm reading an intense manga as an attempt to finish a lesson that I have. So, what I do is I basically do a chapter in the module that I have, and I jump to the other side and I read basically a chapter in the manga. And I keep doing that back and forth. And anytime I do a module, I take some notes. And by the end of it, I kind of like remind myself what I did, review some notes, kind of like have a mental checklist of certain things that I've actually like done. It's fine, it's cool, it's cute. There's a lot that's going on. I'm kind of excited because like, it's actually working and progressing. I started at module 1, I think like 2 weeks ago, and now I'm at module 4. I'm doing basically 4 or 5 chapters a day, but I'm able to kind of, every module has like 10, 15 chapters, maybe, I'm not sure. But anyways, so there's a certain intensity that's available today that wasn't available over a while. But over the past week, I've been feeling a lot more sore because of the workout that I'm doing. So I'm sleeping that extra hour between the hours of like 6:30 to like 7:30. I'm sleeping that extra hour. And in a way, I feel like because I'm waiting for like the UI UX design to finish and I'm trying to coordinate with like the team that's working on the back end. Again, like I had to work with professionals in order for me to kind of like, I don't want to, yes, it is my own personal confidence that needs to be aligned with something. Now, I've done a lot of the work, but still, people that have invested more time in doing something versus me who have researched it a while and tried to apply it on something that I care about. So it's just the switch, the difference in experience. Like people who have done something in many different ways and applied it to many different things. And in comparison, me, I've studied something and I've done it on one thing specific. So the idea behind it was just to kind of like work with a few professionals, have them kind of like audit my work and kind of like improve on it so that I'll be able to kind of like take steps forward with like a lot lighter steps. And then when I say lighter steps are more stable. Heavy steps are more weighed. They require a lot more energy and they basically are making the ground under me unbalanced. So by doing lighter steps, moving forward with lighter steps, I'll be able to I'll have the ability to just change direction anytime I want. And that's something core as we kind of like are attempting to evolve or just kind of like switching from one thing to another to another to another. Granted, I want you guys to remember there's something that I want to do and I've been working on it, and it's very much society oriented. So like it's a lot of things coming to pieces, and part of the videos that I'm going to be reading in a bit are basically completely about like I saw the actual title and I remembered exactly when I started writing them. But I don't think that has these videos have anything to do with me today. The thing is, the minute I started thinking, because this weekend I'm going out of town and I don't have a car, and normally I would use my family's car, my parents' car, and both of them, right now that car is parked doing jack shit. And under normal circumstances, I'll take the car because it needs to be turned on and I have to run errands. But 2 weeks ago, an issue happened with my mother, and she kind of reestablished that as long as I go to her house, she's allowed to be any way she feels like around me and with me, which is a very triggering thing, especially since I'm trying my best to avoid or just kind of like, I don't know how engagements happen, man, with family. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. And what I tend to notice more is within family members, there is no respect at all. There's either I am very much like in my family, it's social presence. For them, if you achieve a status in society that they will respect you and respect your opinion and completely just kind of like do anything you want, it's fucking ridiculous. It doesn't matter if you're competent or not. It doesn't matter if your opinion makes sense or not. You could be a complete fucking idiot. And a few members of my family are. But if you maintain a social presence that they are aware of, then they will fully respect you for it. If they respect the position you're in, right? Like, it's, where I come from, it's doctors, engineers. It's funny because I'm an engineer, or recently became an engineer, but for them, they still can't get over the fact that I worked as a bartender 20 years ago, or I had a restaurant in Liberia. Just can't, I don't know. But anyways, so like something happened, and she basically like restated the fact that as long as I'm going to wash my clothes at her place, because I don't have a washer and dryer here, that she basically has some leverage over me. And what triggered that was just me waking up in the morning and not having my coffee yet and completely chill and enjoying just the atmosphere around me. Like, I was completely like enjoying myself, and I was enjoying myself in a very much like, if I open my mouth, she's gonna ruin it. And then she ruined it. So that thought that I don't have a car took me back to the reason why I'm not using their car, which took me back to took me like a couple of steps back. And I'm talking emotionally here. I want you to kind of follow the monologue that happened in my head. Because the monologue went from like, if we had a car, oh, we used to have this car, oh, you can't have it because of then. And then it was a confrontation between me and my father. Because a part of me still feels ashamed, probably, definitely. And I don't know why. That's what family's supposed to be. Still feels ashamed because the past 2 years I've been kind of like studying and researching, and he was one of the main supporters of this endeavor. And a big part of me kind of feels like, no, I shouldn't have done that. Fucked up, right? That feeling is fucked up, not doing that. So it turned into the monologue, turned into a confrontation, and then kind of like took me to a place where I completely have nothing, and I'm appealing to random people to give me a job. Now notice how that went from like, yeah, I'm gonna be doing cool stuff this weekend to what the fuck, please give me a job, that monologue. So I instantly stopped myself. And the first thing that happened was I kind of like wrote a checklist about the time, about basically what my day is about, and how this monologue makes no sense at all. It's completely irrelevant. It never was relevant at one point, even though that was how I was actually living. And it's funny because I did a video once, because like my inner monologue was always saying all I need is $10 a day to survive, until I realized like survival is not what I want. So the entire monologue kind of changed. But what happened was, because of this, the monologue in our head is basically a structure that's already there. So the reason I started with like, I'm watching an intense manga that's all about like getting what you want and being aggressive, although that's not really how I'm actually approaching things. Like, I am actually approaching things and being very intentional about every single thing I'm approaching. But the aggression part, I don't need to have it. Sometimes I actually do. Like, if I have to finish a piece of code, if I have to finish writing something, I don't approach it with the intensity of like, I'm gonna break the computer. But I literally sit and spend the time it requires for me to get it done. And it always beautifully gets done. So like, I figured out a way for me to be able to like involve myself in the things that need to get out of my system, and be basically like drawn to the day, or just drawn on the day. So what happened was, because of an emotional moment, I would say, it basically took me to what used to be normal. The monologue took me to what used to be normal. And it made me realize that that's no longer what's normal. But the monologue is kind of stuck. So I started questioning myself. Is there something I'm still afraid of? Is this too good to be true? And what is this compared to what too good to be true should look like? Because like, ultimately, all of us kind of have to give ourselves permission to feel happy, give ourselves permission to be successful, give ourselves permission to just be ourselves, unique, and accept the things that we deserve. Because in some twisted way, the people around us always found a way to make us feel undeserving, and we always positioned ourselves in a way that kind of like allowed undeserving things to kind of come to us. And so the reason I'm mentioning this is because it's really just me going like, this monologue is outdated. And I remembered the monologue that I was working on, and I had the conversation about it, where I actually like it's $300 a day on a budget wise. We haven't reached it yet, but we definitely reached $100 a day when it comes to like flow, cash inflow, like money, like investments, all that stuff. And so it felt like we've reached a certain point, but the monologue's kind of like, what do we do now? Once enough past emotions were triggered, the past monologue came back. And that kind of like basically screamed, is there something that you have to forgive about yourself? Is there something that you still not fully like is not fully out of your system, or you're not fully over? And I started having these conversations. But the key take out of this is the fact that our monologues, if we actually ignore them, they are the script that's basically taken from us, because at one point they made sense. They are the script that dictates our next steps, which basically they are the script that manifests itself in our reality. And the minute I realized that, I was like, yeah, but that's an invalid script. And then instantly my entire kind of like, because like, when you're getting emotional, everything kind of starts shifting in you. And instantly it went back to a point of calm. It was just like one of those moments where it's like, don't let it go back to it, go back to it, go back to it. Like, understand what happened, understand what happened. And I figured I'll just make a video out of it. So it's a video, guys. I fucking love you, man.